The conference room fell silent, not the comfortable silence of people waiting for the next line to be read, but the kind of silence that follows when someone says something they shouldn't know, when a voice that wasn't supposed to speak suddenly does. Attorney Daniel Mercer stopped mid. His eyes lifted from the document in his hands to the far end of the table, where a 9-year-old boy sat beside his mother. The boy's name was Oliver Wheat, and what he had just said made no sense. "That's not right," Oliver had said quietly. Grandpa's birthday wasn't in June. It was such a small thing, a date. A detail buried in the legal language of a 40-page will. Most people in the room hadn't even registered it when the lawyer read it aloud. But Oliver had. Now, everyone was staring at him. This is the story of how one child's observation unraveled an inheritance that 7 adults had spent months preparing to divide. How a single contradiction exposed a deception so carefully constructed that even the family's own lawyer had missed it. And how the meeting that was supposed to bring closure became the beginning of something far worse. But to understand what happened in that conference room, you need to understand the family that gathered there that day, and the man whose death brought them together. Richard Whitmore died on a cold morning in February. He was 73 years old. He'd built a successful career in commercial real estate, accumulated properties across 3 states, and raised a family that from the outside looked stable. Even enviable, he left behind 2 adult children, a daughter named Claire, age 46, and a son named Martin, age 42. He also left behind a wife, though not the mother of his children. His second wife, Diane, 61, had been married to Richard for 18 years. His first wife, Patricia, had died 22 years earlier from cancer. Claire and Martin barely remembered their mother. Richard had raised them mostly on his own for 4 years before he met Diane. The will reading was scheduled for March 19th, 6 weeks after the funeral. It gave everyone time to grieve, to settle the immediate affairs, and for the estate attorney to organize the documents. Richard's estate was valued at approximately $11 million. That included 4 commercial properties, 2 residential rental buildings, investment accounts, and the family home in Ridgemont, Connecticut, where Richard and Diane had lived. It was a significant amount of money, enough to change lives, enough to create tension. But the Whitmore family had appeared calm in the weeks leading up to the meeting. There were no screaming matches, no lawyers hired independently, no one contesting anything. Claire, the older sibling, lived in Portland, Oregon. She worked as a marketing consultant and had 2 children. Her husband, Stephen, was an engineer. They lived comfortably, but not extravagantly. Stephen had been laid off 8 months earlier and was still looking for work. The timing of the inheritance, though no one said it aloud, was fortunate. Martin lived closer to his father, only 40 minutes away in Hartford. He worked in finance, managing portfolios for a mid-sized firm. He was married to Angela, a former teacher who now stayed home with their son. Their son, Oliver. Oliver was quiet, observant, and had always been close to his grandfather. Richard used to take him to his properties on weekends, showing him buildings, explaining leases, talking to him like an adult. Oliver absorbed it all. He asked questions. He remembered details. Richard had died of a heart attack. Sudden, but not entirely unexpected. He'd had 2 previous incidents, both minor. He took medication. He'd slowed down in recent years. Diane found him in his study early in the morning. He'd been sitting at his desk. The paramedic said he'd likely died within minutes. The funeral was well. Richard had been respected in his industry. People spoke warmly of him. His children gave brief eulogies. Diane stood quietly in black, composed, her face unreadable. After the service, there was a small gathering at the house. Claire and Martin stayed for a few hours, but the conversations were strained. Grief mixed with the unspoken awareness that soon there would be lawyers and documents and decisions to make. Diane didn't mention the will. Neither did Claire or Martin. It felt too soon, too transactional, but everyone was thinking about it. 3 weeks later, Danielle Mercier, the estate attorney, sent formal letters to Claire, Martin, and Diane, requesting their presence at his office for the reading of Richard Whitmore's last will and testament. The date was set. March 19, 2 o'clock. The letter was professional, brief. It gave no indication of what the will contained. Claire flew in from Portland 2 days early. She stayed at a hotel near the airport, not at the family home. She hadn't asked Diane if she could stay there. Diane hadn't offered. Martin and Angela drove up the morning of the meeting. They brought Oliver. Angela had suggested leaving him with her mother, but Martin said no. Richard had been Oliver's grandfather. He had a right to be there. Angela didn't argue, though she wasn't sure a 9-year-old should sit through a legal proceeding about money and death. The law office of Mercer and Associates was located in a renovated brick building downtown. The conference room was on the 3rd floor, with tall windows overlooking the street. When Claire arrived, Diane was already seated. They exchanged polite greetings. Claire sat across from her. Martin, Angela, and Oliver arrived 10 minutes later. Oliver wore a button-down shirt and looked uncomfortable. He sat beside his mother, his hands folded on the table. Daniel Mercer entered at exactly 2 o'clock. He was in his late 50s, gray-haired, with the careful posture of someone used to delivering bad news. He greeted everyone, expressed condolences again, and then opened his briefcase. "Thank you all for being here," he said. "I know this is difficult. I'll do my best to make this as clear as possible." He placed a thick document on the table, the last will and testament of Richard Jonathan Whitmore. "This will was executed and notarized on June 14th of last year," Mercer said. "Approximately 8 months before Mr. Whitmore's passing. It supersedes all previous versions." Claire glanced at Martin. 8 months ago, that was around the time Richard had his second heart incident. He'd spent 2 days in the hospital. Mercer began to read. The language was formal, dense, legal phrasing that turned simple intentions into paragraphs. But the meaning was clear enough. Richard left the family home and its contents to Diane. He left her a cash amount of $800,000. He also left her the smaller of the 2 residential rental properties, which generated about $60,000 a year in rent. To Claire, he left one of the commercial buildings, valued at approximately $2.4 million. He also left her $300,000 in liquid assets. To Martin, he left the remaining commercial properties and the second residential building. Combined, they were worth roughly $4.8 million. The remainder of the estate, after taxes and fees, was to be divided equally between Claire and Martin. It was a substantial inheritance, life-changing for both of them. Claire's face remained neutral, but her hands tightened slightly around the edge of the table. She'd expected something, but not this much. Martin exhaled slowly. He glanced at Angela, who looked stunned. Diane showed no reaction. She'd likely known already, Mercer continued reading. There were clauses about taxes, about the management of the properties, about contingencies. If any of the beneficiaries, predeceased Richard, and then he reached a section near the middle of the document. In the event that any disputes arise regarding the execution or interpretation of this will, Mercer read, such disputes shall be resolved in accordance with the laws of the state of Connecticut, and all beneficiaries agree to submit to binding arbitration rather than litigation in order to preserve family relationships and minimize costs. He paused, turning the page. This will was drafted in consultation with my longtime friend and financial advisor, Gregory Halley, who has served as a trusted confidant since June of 90, shortly after my 60th birthday. That's when Oliver spoke. That's not right. His voice was soft, but in the silence of the room, it carried. Everyone turned to look at him. Oliver, Angela whispered, her hand moving to his shoulder. But Oliver was staring at the document, his brow furrowed. Grandpa's birthday wasn't in June. I sighed again, louder this time. It was in September 22nd. Mercer blinked. "I'm sorry," he said. "His birthday," Oliver repeated. "It's in September. We always celebrated it in September. I was there last year. We had cake." Angela's face flushed. "Oliver, honey, this isn't..." "He's right," Claire said suddenly. Everyone looked at her. "His birthday was September 22nd. Claire said slowly. "I was born in June. But Dad's birthday was always in September." Mercer looked down at the document, his finger tracing the line. "It says here, shortly after my 60th birthday, and the date referenced is June 1998. Mercer said carefully. "Then the date is wrong," Martin said, leaning forward. "If his birthday was in September, his 60th would have been September of 97. Not June of 98. Mercer frowned. He flipped back a few pages, checking the document. "This is the date that was provided in the will," he said. "June 1998. "But that doesn't match," Claire said, her voice sharper now. "If Dad turned 60 in September of 97, why would the will say he met Gregory Halley after his 60th birthday in June of the following year?" Diane shifted in her seat. "Maybe Richard just misremembered the date." "He wouldn't misremember his own birthday," Martin said flatly. "No, not his birthday," Diane said. "The date he met Gregory Halley. People forget details like that." "Then why is it in the will at all?" Claire asked. "Why specify the date he met his financial advisor?" Mercer cleared his throat. "It's not uncommon for people to reference important relationships in their wills. It provides context. But the context is wrong," Oliver said quietly. Everyone looked at him again. "If the date is wrong," Oliver continued, "then maybe other things are wrong too." The room went still. Mercer set the document down. "I assure you, this will was properly executed. It was signed, witnessed, and notarized. I oversaw the process myself." "When?" Martin asked. "I'm sorry, when did you oversee it?" Martin said. "You said the will was executed in June of last year. Were you there when my father signed it?" Mercer hesitated. "I wasn't physically present. No, the signing took place at Mr. Whitmore's home. But the witnesses and notary were present, and I reviewed the document thoroughly afterward." "Who were the witnesses?" Claire asked. Mercer flipped to the final page. "Gregory Halley and a notary named Linda Everett." "Gregory Halley," Martin repeated. "The financial advisor mentioned in the will." "Yes," Mercer said. "So the man who's named in the will as a trusted confidant was also a witness to the signing," Martin said slowly. "That's not illegal," Mercer said. "As long as the witness isn't a beneficiary, it's perfectly valid." "But it's strange," Claire said. "It's not strange," Diane said, her voice tight. "Gregory was Richard's friend. Of course he'd be there." "I've never heard Dad mention anyone named Gregory Halley," Martin said. Diane's jaw tightened. "Just because you didn't know about him doesn't mean he didn't exist." "Then where is he now?" Claire asked. "If he was such a close friend, why wasn't he at the funeral?" Diane didn't answer. Mercer raised a hand. I understand this is emotional, but I think we should continue with the reading. We can address any questions afterward. No, Martin said. I want to know who Gregory Hawley is. I want to see proof that he existed. Existed, Diane said sharply. What are you implying? I'm implying that my father's will references a man none of us have ever heard of, with a date that doesn't match reality. And I want to know why. Your father had business associates you didn't know about, Diane said. He had a life outside of you. I'm aware, Martin said coldly. But if this Gregory Hawley was important enough to be named in the will and serve as a witness, I'd like to meet him. Mercer glanced between them. I can provide contact information from Mr. Hawley, if that would be helpful. Yes, Claire said immediately. That would be helpful. Mercer made a note. The rest of the reading continued, but the atmosphere had changed. Every line Mercer read was now under scrutiny. Claire and Martin listened with new suspicion, their eyes scanning for inconsistencies. When the reading concluded, Mercer offered to answer questions. But Martin and Claire had only one. We want to verify the will, Martin said. It's already been verified, Mercer said. It's legally binding. Then we want to see the verification, Claire said. The witnesses, the notary. The original signing. Mercer sighed. I'll provide copies of everything, but I want to be clear this will is legitimate. Contesting it will be expensive and time-consuming. We're not contesting it, Martin said. We just want to understand it. Diane stood abruptly. This is ridiculous. Richard made his wishes clear. You're both getting millions of dollars, and you're complaining about a date. It's not about the money, Claire said. It's always about the money. Diane snapped. She left the room. Angela reached for Oliver's hand. Come on, sweetie, let's wait outside. Oliver stood, but he glanced back at the document on the table, his face troubled. If stories like this pull you in, subscribing means you won't miss what happens next. After the meeting, Claire and Martin stood in the parking lot, speaking in low voices. Something's wrong, Claire said. I know, Martin agreed. That date. The financial advisor, it doesn't add up. And Diane's reaction, Martin said. She was defensive. She's always defensive, Claire muttered. Not like that. Claire crossed her arms. What do you think is going on? I don't know, but I'm going to find out. That evening, Martin called the number Mercer had provided for Gregory Hawley. It went to voicemail. A generic automated message. No name. He left a message. This is Martin Whitmore. I'm trying to reach Gregory Hawley regarding my father's estate. Please call me back. No one called back. He tried again the next day. Same result. On the third day, he called Mercer. I can't reach Gregory Hawley, Martin said. The number you gave me doesn't work. It's the number I have on file, Mercer said. Then your file is wrong. Mercer. Who said? I'll look into it. I want to speak to the notary too. Linda Everett. I'll get you her information. 2 days later, Mercer sent an email. Linda Everett had moved out of state. She was no longer practicing as a notary. He'd included a forwarding address, but no phone number. Martin stared at the email, frustration building. Claire, meanwhile, had started her own investigation. She'd gone to the family home, asking Diane if she could look through Richard's office. Diane had refused. There's nothing in there that concerns you, Diane said. It was my father's office, Claire said. And now it's my house, Diane replied. Claire left, angry and suspicious. She called Martin. She won't let me in. She's hiding something, Martin said. We need to get into that office. How? She's not going to let us. Claire was quiet for a moment. Does she ever leave the house? I don't know. Why? Why? Because if she does, we need to be ready. 3 days later, Angela mentioned to Martin that Diane had a doctor's appointment scheduled for Thursday afternoon. She'd heard it from a mutual acquaintance. Martin called Claire. On Thursday at 2:15, Claire and Martin pulled up to the family home. Diane's car was gone. They used Martin's old key. He'd never returned it after his father's death. The house was silent. They went straight to the study. Richard's desk was neat, almost too neat. Papers stacked precisely, pens aligned. It didn't look like the desk of someone who died suddenly. Martin opened the drawers. Files, bills, old tax documents. Claire searched the bookshelf, pulling out folders tucked between books. What are we looking for? She asked. Anything about Gregory Halley? Anything about the will? They searched for 20 minutes, and then Claire found it, a folder, unlabeled, shoved behind a stack of old real estate contracts. Inside were bank statements, not Richard's main accounts. A separate account, opened 4 years earlier. In Diane's name, regular deposits, large deposits, $50,000, $70,000, $60,000, all from Richard's business accounts. What the hell is this? Claire whispered. Martin looked over her shoulder. He was transferring money to her. Why? I don't know. Claire flipped through the statements. This is over $1 million. In 4 years. Maybe he was setting her up, making sure she'd be taken care of. Then why hide it? Claire said. Why not just tell us? They kept searching. In another drawer, they found a letter. It was addressed to Richard. No return address. The postmark was from 2 years earlier. Claire opened it. The handwriting was shaky, uncertain. Richard, I don't know if you'll read this, but I need you to know. What you did wasn't right. I kept quiet because you asked me to, but I can't anymore. People deserve to know the truth. I'm going to tell them. I'm sorry. It was signed with a single initial. Gee, Martin said. Gregory Mabee? Oh, truth, Claire said. What did Dad do? They didn't have time to search further. They heard a car in the driveway. Shit, Martin hissed. They shoved the papers back, trying to leave everything as they'd found it. But Claire kept the letter. They slipped out through the back door just as Diane's car pulled into the garage. That night, Claire and Martin sat in a diner, the letter between them. We need to find Gregory Halley, Claire said. He doesn't exist, Martin said, or he doesn't want to be found. Someone wrote this letter. Maybe it wasn't him. Maybe G stands for something else. Claire rubbed her face. I feel like we're missing something obvious. The will says Dad met Gregory after his 60th birthday, but the date is wrong. So either Dad lied, or someone else did. Who would lie, and why? Claire stared at the letter. What if Gregory Halley isn't a financial advisor? Then what is he? I don't know. But I think we need to find out who witnessed the will signing, and I don't think we can trust Mercer to help us. The next morning, Martin hired a private investigator. Her name was Karen Delgado, a former paralegal who specialized in estate fraud. Martin gave her everything. The will, The letter. The bank statements. The name, Gregory Halley. Find out who he is, Martin said. Find out if he's real. Delgado took the case. A week later, she called. I found something, she said, but you're not going to like it. Martin met her at her office. Delgado handed him a file. Gregory Halley doesn't exist, she said. At least, not in the way you think. What does that mean? There's no financial advisor by that name registered in Connecticut. No business license, no tax records, nothing. Then who is he? Delgado opened the file. I ran a search on the name. There's a Gregory Halley who lived in Hartford 20 years ago. He was a tenant in one of your father's buildings. What kind of consulting? Tax preparation, accounting, small stuff. And he disappeared. No forwarding address, no records after 2004. So, he's gone? Maybe. Or maybe he never left. Delgado slid another document across the desk. I pulled property records. Your father owned a building on Maple Street. Gregory Halley. Rented office space. There from 98 to 2004. Martin's stomach tightened. 98. The same year mentioned in the will. Right. Martha said a tenant. Yeah. He rented a commercial space. A small office. Ran a consulting business that went under in 2004. But here's the thing. After Hale's business closed, the space was never re-rented. It stayed vacant for 20 years. For 20 years. And your father kept paying utilities on it. Why would he do that? Delgado leaned back. I don't know, but I went to the building. The space is still there. It's locked, but the lights work. There's furniture inside. Someone's been using it. Or someone wants it to look like they have. Martin felt cold. I need to get inside. I thought you might say that. She handed him a key. Where did you get this? I have my sources, but if you use it, you didn't get it from me. That night, Martin and Claire drove to the building on Maple Street. It was an old brick structure, 3 stories, mostly empty. The office was on the 2nd floor. They unlocked the door. The space was small. A desk, a filing cabinet, a chair. Everything was covered in a thin layer of dust, but not 20 years worth. Someone had been here recently. Claire opened the filing cabinet. Empty. Martin checked the desk drawers. Also empty. Someone cleaned this out, Claire said, recently. They searched the room, but there was nothing left. And then Martin noticed something. A loose floorboard near the window. It paraded up underneath. It was a small metal box. He pulled it out, his hands shaking. Inside were documents, old bank records, letters, photos, and a birth certificate. Martin stared at it. The name on the certificate was Gregory Jonathan Halley. Date of birth, June 14th, 1990. Mother, Diane Whitmore. Father, Richard Whitmore. Claire's breath caught. Oh my God. He's their son, Martin whispered. Dad and Diane had a son. They stared at the certificate, the implications crashing over them. June 14th, Claire said slowly. The debt in the will. It's not when Dad met Gregory Halley. It's when Gregory was born. But where is he? Martin sighed. Why has no one ever mentioned him? Claire rifled through the other papers. There were medical records. Gregory had been born premature. He'd spent weeks in the hospital. There were letters from Diane to Richard, written years ago, before they were married. I can't do this, one letter said. I can't raise him. I'm not ready. Please, Richard, you said you'd take care of it. Another letter from Richard to someone unnamed. I've made arrangements. The boy will be taken care of. No one needs to know. He gave him up, Claire whispered. They gave him up. But there was another document, a legal guardianship agreement, dated 2003. Gregory had been placed in the care of a woman named Margaret Halley. No relation listed. Who is Margaret Halley? Martin said. Claire kept reading. There was a death certificate in the stack. Margaret Halley. Died 2016. She's dead. Then where did Gregory go? They found the answer at the bottom of the box. A letter, dated 3 years earlier, addressed to Richard. Dad, I know you don't want to hear from me. I know you made it clear a long time ago that I wasn't part of your life, but Margaret's gone, and I don't have anyone else. I'm not asking for money. I just want to know why. Why you gave me away. Why you pretended I didn't exist. I deserve an answer. It was signed, Gregory. There was no response from Richard in the box, but there was another letter, dated a year later. Richard, I waited for you to respond. You didn't. So I'm done waiting. I'm going to tell your family the truth. They deserve to know what kind of man you were. What you did to me. What you did to my mother. I'm going to make sure everyone knows. Claire's hands were shaking. He was going to expose Dad. And then what? Martin said. The will was signed a year ago, right after this letter. You think Gregory forced Dad to put him in the will? Maybe. Or maybe Dad was trying to buy his silence. But Gregory's not in the will, Claire said. We are. Martin frowned. Unless he is, and we just don't know it. They stared at each other. The financial advisor, Claire said slowly. Gregory Halley, trusted confidant. What if that's code? What if Dad was trying to reference him without actually naming him as a son? But why? Why not just leave him money directly? Because he didn't want anyone to know. Martina said. He didn't want us to know. He didn't want Diane's reputation ruined. So he hid it. He buried Gregory in legal language, hoping no one would notice. But we did notice, because of Oliver. They sat in silence, the weight of it settling over them. We have a brother, Claire said quietly. Martin didn't respond. We have a brother, and Dad erased him. The next day, they confronted Diane. She was in the kitchen when they arrived. Unannounced, Martin slammed a birth certificate onto the counter. Tell us about Gregory. Diane's face went white. She didn't speak. We know, Claire said. We know you and Dad had a son. We know you gave him up. We know Dad tried to hide him. Diane's hands trembled. You don't understand. Then explain it. Diane sat down slowly, her composure cracking. I was 24, she said quietly. Richa was married. We had an affair. I got pregnant. And you gave the baby away, Martin said. I didn't have a choice, Diane said, her voice breaking. Richard was still with Patricia. He had you two. He couldn't acknowledge another child. He would have destroyed his marriage, destroyed his family. So you just gave him up, Claire said, her voice hard. We placed him with a good woman, Margaret. She raised him. Richard sent money every month. He made sure Gregory was taken care of. Until Margaret died, Martin said. And then what? Diane closed her eyes. Gregory found Richard. Was angry. He wanted answers. Richard tried to explain, but Gregory wouldn't listen. He threatened to go public. To tell everyone. So Dad put him in the will, Claire said, to keep him quiet. No, Diane said. Richard wanted to help him. He wanted to make things right. By pretending he was a financial advisor. Martin said incredulously. By giving him money without exposing the truth, Diane said. Richard was trying to protect all of you. If people knew about Gregory, it would have raised questions about me, about our marriage, about the timeline. So he lied, Claire said. He made a choice, Diane said. And what happened to Gregory? Martin demanded. Where is he now? Diane hesitated. Where is he, Diane? I don't know, she whispered. You're lying. I'm not. After Richard died, I tried to contact him. I called the number Richard had. I left messages. He never responded. Because he doesn't exist, Claire said. At least, not in any way we can find. Diane looked up, tears streaming down her face. He exists. He's real, and he has every right to hate us. Martin stepped back, his mind racing. The will, he said slowly. Mercer said it was witnessed by Gregory Halley. Yes, Diane said. So Gregory was here. He was in this house. He signed the will. Diane nodded. Then he knows, Martin said. He knows what he's getting. He knows the whole plan. What plan? Claire asked. Martin turned to her. Think about it. The will names Gregory as a financial advisor. It references a date that doesn't make sense. It plants a clue that someone would eventually notice. Oliver noticed, Claire said. Exactly. And once we noticed, we started digging, and we found the truth. So what are you saying? Claire asked. I'm saying Gregory wanted us to find out, Martin said. He wanted the will to be questioned. He wanted us to discover him. Why? Because he doesn't want the money, Martin said. He wants revenge. Diane's face crumpled. No. Richard tried to make it right. By hiding him in the will, Martin said. By making him a ghost, by giving him what he deserved, Diane said. And what does he deserve? Claire asked coldly. Diane didn't answer. Over the next 2 weeks, Martin and Claire tried to find Gregory. They hired investigators. They searched property records, tax filings, social media. Nothing. It was as if Gregory Halley had vanished. But then, a letter arrived at Claire's hotel. No return address. Postmarked locally. Inside was a single sheet of paper. You're looking for me. Stop. I don't want your money. I don't want your apologies. I just wanted you to know the truth. Now you do. Leave me alone. It was unsigned, but Claire knew who it was from. She called Martin. He's watching us, she said. How do you know? Because he knows we're looking for him. What do we do? I don't know. They met with Mercer again. We need to delay the inheritance, Martin said. On what grounds? Mercer asked. On the grounds that there's a potential heir we didn't know about Mercer Sige. Unless Gregory Halley comes forward and makes a claim, There's nothing to delay. The will is clear. The will is a lie, Claire said. The will is legally binding, Mercer replied, whether or not you agree with it. So we just take the money, Martin said. We just pretend we don't know about Gregory. That's up to you, Mercer said. But legally, you're entitled to what the will specifies. Claire and Martin left the office, both feeling sick. That night, Angela found Martin sitting in the dark. "What are you going to do?" she asked. "I don't know." "You could walk away from millions of dollars. From the guilt?" Martin looked at her. "You think I should. I think you need to figure out what matters more. The money or the truth. I can have both. Can you?" Martin didn't answer. 3 days later, Claire came. "I found him," she said. "What?" "I found Gregory, or at least, I found where he's been." "Where?" "He's been living in one of Dad's rental properties for the last 2 years. Rent-free Martin felt his blood run cold. Dad was letting him live there. Yes, and he's still there. "How do you know?" "I went there. I saw him." "Did you talk to him?" "No. I watched from across the street. He's real, Martin. He's real, and he's been right here the whole time." Martin sat down heavily. "What do we do?" "I'm going back tomorrow," Claire said. "I'm going to talk to him." "Claire, he deserves to know. We know. He deserves to hear it from us." The next day, Claire stood outside a small apartment building on the east side of town. She'd watched Gregory leave an hour earlier, Talantine with Richard's profile. When he returned, Claire was waiting. They sat in a coffee shop 2 blocks away. Gregory didn't say much at first. He listened as Claire explained everything they'd found. The letters, the birth certificate, the will. When she finished, Gregory looked down at his cup. "He tried," Gregory said. "At the end, he tried to fix it. By hiding you, by giving me a place, money, something." "Why didn't you come to the funeral?" Claire asked. "Because I wasn't invited," Gregory said simply. "I was never invited." "One liri," she said. He stopped, his eyes wary. "I'm Claire. I'm your sister." Gregory stared at her. "I know," he said quietly. "You could have come anyway." "And said what?" "Hi, I'm the son your father abandoned." Claire didn't have an answer. "I don't want the inheritance," Gregory said. "I never did." "Then why put yourself in the will?" "I didn't. Richard did. He said it was the only way, that if he named me directly as a son, it would destroy Diane. It would destroy his legacy. So he made me a financial advisor. He made me a footnote." "That's not right." "No. But it's what he could give." Claire leaned forward. "You could contest the will. You could claim what you're owed." "I don't want to." "Why not?" "Because I don't want to be part of this family," Gregory said. "I don't want the money that comes with pretending everything's fine. It's not fine. I know. That's why I'm leaving. Leaving? I'm moving. Out of state. I've already found a place. I'm done with this." Claire felt something crack inside her. "You're just going to disappear. I was never here to begin with." That's not true. You're our brother. Gregory looked at her, his eyes sad. No. I'm the mistake your father tried to erase, and I'm tired of being erased. He stood. Wait, Claire said. Don't look for me again, Gregory said. Please. And he left. Claire sat alone, tears streaming down her face. 2 months later, the inheritance was finalized. Claire received her portion, so did Martin, so did Diane. No one contested it. Gregory never came forward. The apartment he'd been living in was cleared out. He left no forwarding address. Claire tried to find him one more time, but he was gone. Martin struggled with the money. Every time he looked at his accounts, he thought of Gregory, of the brother he'd never known, the brother his father had erased. Angela suggested they donate some of it, set up a fund in Gregory's name. Martin agreed. They created a scholarship for children in foster care. They named it the Gregory Halley Memorial Fund. It wasn't enough, but it was something. Claire did the same. Diane never spoke of Gregory again. She lived quietly in the family home, alone, and Oliver, who had started it all, asked his father one night why Grandpa had lied. Martin didn't have a good answer. Sometimes people make mistakes, he said. Big mistakes, Oliver said. Yes. Do you think Grandpa was sorry? Martin thought about that. About the will, about the clues Richard had left, intentional or not. I think he tried to be, Martin said. Oliver nodded, though he didn't look convinced. Years later, Claire received a postcard. No message, just a picture of a beach, somewhere warm. On the back, in small handwriting, was a single initial. G. She kept it on her desk, a reminder that some inheritances aren't about money. Some are about the truths we're forced to carry, and the ghosts we can never quite leave behind. The inheritance meeting had frozen when a child corrected the lawyer, and in that moment, everything changed. Not because of what was gained, but because of what was lost. A brother, a truth, a family that could have been. Richard Whitmore had left behind millions, but what he'd taken with him was worth far more, and no will could ever bring it back.